Hey, if you're joining us, I'm so happy that you are here. Listen, today is all about getting our money right. And I'm so excited about the special guest I'm going to bring to you. But here's the truth before we get into today's conversation, do me a favor. You're going to need more of this content, and I guarantee you we have a lot more of it coming. So before we start today, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. You're going to want to know when more of this comes, because today's conversation is going to send you off the cliff. And I mean that in the best of ways, because the truth is that your kingdom impact cannot happen without resources. Yes, we're talking about money. The beautiful thing that answers a bunch of questions and gets a lot of stuff done. And you know, if you work in ministry, that ministry is not free. It requires money. And the best thing that you can do if you're leading at the level you're leading at is to ensure that you have the best wisdom, the absolute best wisdom to steward the resources God is sending you. So I want to welcome my friend, Janelle Montgomery, to the conversation. Janelle, welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm very happy to have you. This is a long time coming. It's been a long time coming, and you have in our time knowing each other, I found you to be just an incredibly generous with your knowledge, and I'm so excited that you're going to give that to people today in this conversation.
Yes, I'm excited to give some knowledge today.
It's going to be good. So we are here to talk about finance, church money, church budgeting, all those things. So before I get started, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about how you get to this work. How did you can even tell people how we met a little bit.
I love it. For me, numbers have always been a thing for me since I was little. That's great. So my dream job when I was 3 years old was to be a cashier. So
that's great. Okay, so you had high aspirations.
I had high aspirations.
I just want to hear that. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
I love it.
That was
I love
it.
I love it.
But when I was heartbroken, whenever I found out that the cashiers don't get to keep the money.
They don't? No. Oh, that's what you thought it was your money. Got
I
it. Okay,
it was my money.
That's so good.
When I found out that we didn't get to keep the money, then I was thinking, okay, well, how else can I be involved with handling money? Because I've always loved numbers. And so I found out that being a CPA was going to be the right track there. Okay. And so just wanting to be a CPA, there were a lot of obstacles. And so as we want to achieve our goals, there were obstacles that came into place, right? So for me, when I was 14 years old, my dad suddenly passed away from a heart attack. And it was so devastating to our family because my mom, her first language is not English. Wow. And then also I have a sibling who's special needs. And so it really put us in a place where we had to figure it out. And so my mom went to start her cleaning business, and she cleaned commercial buildings. Wow. And so I just remember the passion that came was when I was cleaning the office of the CEO. And I just remember his office was different from the other offices because it had the animal carpet. Had pictures with celebrities.
The CEO's office.
Yes. I was like, whose office is this? And I remember every single day I would clean the office and he would never be there. So I would be cleaning a clean office, but my mom was very particular and committed to excellence to where I had to dust, vacuum, and mop that office every day. And it made me think, like, what is he doing that I'm not doing? Because I realized that I was working harder than he was.
Come on.
And he was making way more money. And so I realized at that point that there were some principles that I didn't know, that working harder just wasn't going to get me to a place where I was going to be able to multiply money, manage money, and make more money.
Yep.
So for me, that's where I came to love helping people and helping them understand the principles that can help people achieve their financial goals.
It's absolutely stunning. I think there's so much more in your story, and we're going to unpack it here in just a moment. So talk to me a little bit about that transition. So you dropped a couple seeds in there. So you jumped in with mom. You were like, I'm going to help out. You're in the office. You're doing the cleaning. At some point, you start down your career trajectory. Help the people who are listening in on this conversation just get a frame of reference for what that career trajectory looked like. Schooling, knowledge, all that stuff. People like to see your resume a little bit.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And so with cleaning my mom, again, that's when my father had passed away when I was 14 years old. And so I never lost sight of wanting to become a certified public accountant.
That's great. That's a CPA.
That's a CPA.
Certified public accountant.
Yes.
We're going to unpack that a little bit because I know people hear that phrase and they're like, they hear, some people hear alarm bells. Some people hear peace. It depends. Some people say I'm being audited. What does this mean?
Right.
Okay, so we'll unpack that a little bit. So you started down the journey of becoming a CPA. What did that journey look like for you?
That journey looked, for me, I had to figure out what type of education that I needed to become a CPA. For me, that was getting a master's degree, getting my bachelor's, then getting my master's degree, and then taking a set of courses that would help me pass the CPA exam. It was a 4-part exam. I believe I took it over a course of multiple days in order to pass it. And so it was very rigorous. The study time was very rigorous, but at the end, it was worth it.
It's great.
Totally worth it.
I'm curious to know, so why that level? So it sounds like your CPA licensure, is that, I don't know if I'm even using the right term.
Yes.
Your CPA licensure is kind of the pinnacle of financial management as it relates to being able to see the grand scheme of people's money and how it works and operates. What made you say, I want that level? Because it's apparently, from your story, it sounds like you've been good with money. You understand money, but you said, no, I got to make sure that it's validated through these, through making sure I have the right thing. Why couldn't you, what was it about getting the CPA? What does that mean in the finance world, in the money world, for people who are seeking to be financial leaders?
I believe that God had a part to do with it. And what I mean by that is that he instilled that desire in me. There was a time where I was in the master's program and I got really involved in nonprofit and ministry. And I was thinking, wow, God, should I just go full-fledged into ministry? And I remember God saying, no, you need to stay on the course, get your CPA.
Wow.
So from that, I can't say no to that. So I said, okay, God. So it was really a step of obedience that I was taking in obtaining my CPA.
That's great. So tell me about, you're schooling all of us the way you always do, and those of you who will get to know Janelle through the course of these conversations, you'll find, again, incredibly generous with your knowledge, and that's why they're so grateful to have you here. What specifically sets CPAs apart from, say, bookkeepers or accountants? What's the, I think of it, and this is my own immature understanding of the field, right? And I think of the CPA as, that's like the version of being a lawyer. And lawyers are the legal field, CPAs are the financial field. They're like the elite top, right? You can still have paralegals and, process accountants, all that stuff, but, you need your Esquire at the end of that. Tell me about help us understand, because the word CPA means a lot to a lot of people. Some of it's traumatic. Some of it's really exciting. It means that, there's assistance and help and thought leadership. For you, what does that represent as it relates to shaping your leadership knowledge around money?
Well, I think that one of the things of being a certified public accountant is the fact that we are public facing. There are sanctions, there are rules that we have to abide by in order to be trusted by the public. And so being certified publicly means that the public puts their trust in us. And so that puts us in a different field. I can't, there's certain things that I can't do because I am certified. And so being an authority figure, that has shaped how we do business. There's a whole ethics committee. There's an ethics course that we have to take. There are courses that we have to take every single year in order to stay up to date with the newest information that's coming out.
So there's a pastor listening into this conversation right now, and they hear me and you talking about the fact that, okay, Janelle Montgomery, she's a CPA, she has a passion for finance and ministry, which we're going to talk about. I'm really excited to talk about that part of your life. What is that? What's the difference? How do you, when you're talking to leaders, especially spiritual ones, pastors, second seat leaders, what's the difference in CP? So you just said, we have this public trust in us, right? How does that affect then the conversation how does it elevate the conversation with them when they're talking about, hey, Janelle, I have these specific issues around buying a building or paying staff or my church's budget. What is the CPA's difference than the bookkeeper's difference, if you will?
I love it. I love that question. I think that just like the CPA that has to have the trust of the public, I think about ministry. Ministry also has to have the trust of the public.
This is good. Oh, I love this conversation.
So because of that, there has to be certain responsibilities that you have to put into the vision of the church or the vision of the organization.
That's great.
And so with a CPA, see, there are certain levels to this, right?
Uh-oh.
I love it. There's certain levels.
Okay, Janelle, she said, let's just get into it.
Let's just get into it.
We've arrived. Okay, this is good.
So there's just certain levels. Yeah. So basically, you do have your bookkeepers that are going to track what's happened in the past.
Right. This is the process version. This is the we paid that bill, we received that money, and they're just keeping the log. So
yes, they're keeping the log. They're keeping track of the things. They're categorizing it, hopefully. But then
talk about that. That's coming up on
we
the
will
future
talk
episode.
about that.
Love it.
But also now you have a CPA that can not only analyze, because there's there's a thing where you can look at all the expenses or all the spending items and say, okay, well, we probably need to spend less here. But there is a difference of having a CPA, because not only will they help you analyze, but they can help you achieve the goals that the ministry needs to go.
That's great. So what I hear you saying is bookkeeping, and while we are grateful for all of our churches' bookkeepers and the folks who serve our churches to make sure that we're accounting for the money correctly, your role as a CPA and as a CFO, so Chief Financial Officer, is to give that, to look at the dollars and cents and give it mission. The same way we look at souls and we say, hey, this fuels the mission of the church. There's also a way to do that to the money. I absolutely love that. As we continue to unpack this conversation, when you start to think about why churches, by the way, can we just jump off a cliff for a second in this conversation? Because what we left off in your introduction, it says you're also leading a church. Right. So it's not only just, hey, I know all about it, but you like really know all about it. Okay, real quick, tell us really quickly about your church. And I'll let you tell all the details, because there's a part of me that wants to spill it for you. So you're a pastor of a church. You and your husband pastor a church. Tell us about it.
Yes, I co-pastor with my husband.
Love it. Absolutely.
And so being a pastor's wife, right, I am literally up at 3:00 in the morning sometimes.
That had a little sting on it. That had just a little sting on it.
A little bit of a sting, right? Talking about vision, talking about the direction of ministry. And so it's really great having the both and, because a lot of times we know that pastors and those that are forefront leaders that are leading by faith.
So good.
By faith. Yeah. And faith only, right?
And you mean that as the financial mind you are. Like, there's a lot of faith in here.
There's a lot of faith in there.
We can feel it.
But we have to add definitely the stewardship, the responsibility, and making sure that the faith comes into fruition.
So good. That's really powerful. So so I love this, because what I think we're learning in this conversation is you're not just a financial practitioner, but you're applying the same knowledge you're giving to people all across the country. You're applying it in real time to your church, right? And I think what's so important that people hear is, even though you have the intellectual and academic markers to follow your knowledge, it still requires faith. Like, this still requires, like, our church still is led by faith. We're still trusting God. Hear me, we're managing and stewarding, but we're still taking steps of faith. And I think one of the things people, especially, as I get to talk to pastors all across the country, is there's this false assumption, and I'm being kind of brutally honest here. There's this false assumption that if I get the money right, it won't be as hard, right? And the truth is, and I think you can speak to this, and I'd love for you to speak to this, is getting the money right only it's different hard. It's just now we got resources, but now those resources have to be allocated, taxes, payroll taxes, investment accounts. Like, it's not easier, it just gets more robust. Speak to that a little bit if you can or want to.
So let me say this, and I'm gonna look straight in your face while I say this. Making much more money
Yeah.
is not going to solve your bad money habits.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
God has called us to stewardship. That, and I know you're thinking, if my ministry today got blessed with $1 million, it will solve all of my problems. But the things that I've learned, and listen, I am a CPA to multimillionaires. And one of the things when they come to me, the reason why they come to me is because they need the management part. They need to know how to multiply what's coming in. And so that's why it is important to give your money a mission. So that's why it's important.
So good.
So
I think you saying that so directly is convicting. It's convicting because, like in all things, especially our money, it is. You just made it abundantly clear. Like this is still a faith journey. Like it still requires you to continue to feed your desire for discipline. And you're right. $1 million doesn't make you smarter. If anything, it will expose. It will just, the check you've been praying, the millionaire you've been praying walks into your church and pays all your debts or helps you finance the next building, doesn't create, it only will expose the fact that you haven't done the background and laid the foundation really well to be able to steward that miracle. I say all the time, it is a dereliction of our pastoral duty to pray for harvest.
Yes.
But not prepare our nets.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying? It's like,
so
it's like, hey, God, send me that thing. And hear me, God is loving and he desires to send us that thing. But when it shows up, he's going to ask you to hold an account for it. He's going to ask you to hold an account for it. Even, and the Bible is very clear, even double so to those who in leadership. And so I say that to say, I love that confrontation. I think it's healthy. I think it's a healthy confrontation because I know from you, it is coming with a whole lot of love and the desire to want to help leaders get clear around the mission around their money so that when the inevitable blessing comes, it's stewarded well.
Exactly, and maintaining that clarity, because if you don't have clarity, it's going to be hard to go in a certain direction. Yeah. Because if you receive a big amount of money and you have no direction or clarity to where that money is going to go, you're going to look up one day and say, where did it go?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think that partnering with someone who is a CFO will help the church go into the direction of the vision.
Okay.
And make sure that faith does come into fruition.
All right, well, you just stepped into it. I want to talk about that, right? So there may be pastors, there may be executive pastors listening, there may be board members listening into this conversation thinking, hey, okay, do we need a CPA? Do we need help? Like, because we know we have bookkeeping. The bookkeeping we know that we've received this much amount of money in tithes and offerings, and these were our bills and our payroll. We got that part, but the strategy. How does this layer, how do we get to that next building project? How do we expand our mission in an area of generosity that we've been praying that God opens the door for? How do we bring on a for-profit entity into the church, right? We're thinking about ways to meet needs, real tangible needs in our city through childcare and real estate and community development corporations, and all that stuff requires significant financial strategy. Yes. When you look at pastors and they come to you and they say, hey, Janelle, I'm having this issue. And I know this is a very, very broad question, so I apologize in advance. What are the initial, small, introductory miscalculations you see pastors having? Like, where are you like, oh, baby, we got to fix this first? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a, hey, yes, we want to, we absolutely want to make sure, yes, God gave you a vision for a building, and I think it is of God that you are in that building. But then when you sit down and you start asking the hard questions like you would do, where are you like, oh yeah, I'm typically having to start right around that area to get it organized before we start talking about the larger thing?
I think where I'm having to start with is actually getting actual financial statement reports that the bank requires. Because if you're talking about acquisitions, you're talking about doing big money things, right? Yeah. Those things are going to require proper financial statements.
Okay, but wait, I have QuickBooks and it does reports. Like I had the accountant print out the reports on QuickBooks. I got a P&L, I got a balance sheet. I'm going to bring that to the bank.
A lot of churches that I notice are doing week-to-week budgeting and week-to-week accounting.
Let's talk about it. That's great.
So they're only going based off the balance in their bank account on whether or not if they want to go and pursue a project. And that's one place where we have to start is what is the budget right? Do you have a budget? Do we know where this money is going to go? So if you got all the money that you needed for this year, would you know exactly where it would go?
Wow.
Or
Wow.
would it just
Yeah.
be spent?
That end of the year when you do your tax return, you're like, I made how much money? And you're like, what did I buy?
I've seen that too.
I had this much, but no, but you're right. Would you know, at the end of the year, do you know where all the money is going? So you're saying, what you find, if I hear you correctly, you find that typically the first conversation that kind of points to the work that has to be done with most churches and pastors is we got to make sure that the budgeting is clear and the reporting is accurate. Okay, talk to that pastor who says, I get reports from my accountant. It looks like Chinese. It's beautiful. It's words. It's symbols. What am I looking for? And as a pastor, because you're in both worlds, right? Because you live in both worlds, co-pastor and CPA. How much knowledge, how much of this do I really need to know? Do I need to know every line? Should I if you're like me, I skip to the bottom. Is it red or is it green? And is it black? Is it negative? Is it positive? I just want to look at that final total profit. Like how much money is left over? Like as a pastor who's leading an organization, you're not a CFO. That's not what God called you to do. He didn't call you to be a financier. He called you to take care of sheep. And so I say that to say, how much of that knowledge do I really need to have? Like, do I need to know it all? Are you gonna tell me just look at the bottom line number? Like, what basic questions should I be asking of my team to ensure that our money has mission, the way you said?
Well, I think that is a very broad question.
It is.
I do like it.
I'm good for a good broad question.
Oh, good broad question. But I would say that one of the things that is very important for a pastor to know is the money that is coming in, is it accomplishing the overall vision? Because the pastor has a responsibility for the direction of where the ministry is going overall, he should possibly just look at the mission. Like, is it being fulfilled in the way that it needs to be?
That's great.
In what areas? And if it's not, he needs to go to those areas of ministry and say, okay, well, where else do the funds need to go? A lot of times, a lot of leaders may think that giving the same amount of money to each ministry is
fair.
Is fair.
That's good.
But that's not fair.
They're leading the budget through this fairness idea.
Exactly. But it needs to be done through a more purpose-based lens.
It's so good. It's so good. So money is not democratic.
Exactly.
Money is assigned to, and you get the money based on the return on investment, right? You invest, just like in our personal lives, we invest in ministry spaces in the places we want to see in return. Like even in our work helping churches, I tell pastors all the time, I think for every $1 you put into investing in your kids' experience in a healthy 20% children church, you should see $4 to $6 of that come back through giving because you're attracting. Now, it's common sense in that area, you're attracting younger families. So on my budget, it may look slightly skewed towards ministry to next generation, but ultimately that's a strategic aim. So maybe I'm not, and we're pastors here having an honest conversation. I may be spending 20% of my ministry dollars on kids and next generation, and only 5% on senior citizens and my graying population. But that's a strategic choice that I'm making to prolong the legacy of our church. And you're right. In this, I hear your heart. There's a lot of desire. I think pastors like yourself and like so many others, you have a genuine desire to help to please everyone, right? And so you don't want to have that hard conversation about, hey, I can't spend that much on that because I'm giving, our money has a mission, and the mission right now is to grow our next generation. I'm using that as an example, but
that's really good that you say that, because a lot of pastors that I do talk to, they're seeing the vision fulfilled, but they're not seeing it fulfilled to the potential yet.
Yes, it's so good.
And I think that's why it's important to bring on a CFO, because that's someone that you can partner with in order to help you reach what your goals are and where you see the ministry going. And so I think that it's more than, the pastor, because, especially if they're a visionary, they don't want to go line for line and look at every detail, because that's not where they're at. Especially, my husband, he's like, okay, just give me the overall.
And it's just going to stress me out.
Exactly.
And honestly, it's going to stress me out.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, I just need more money.
Right. Paper towels cost this much. What?
Who spent this much on goldfish? Like, whose idea was the goldfish? Get the Aldi brand. Stop. Okay, I'm joking. I'm being silly.
And then it's like, okay, well, And then we have to look at relation of how much it is really bringing an impact to the
great.
community and the parishioners and the members. And so,
It's really good.
I feel like that their responsibility and role is to make sure that it is going in the same, that there is alignment with the vision and the mission.
So good. So what advice do you give a pastor who says, yes, Janelle, to everything you're saying? I don't want to be in the weeds. It is, going line by line is not my spiritual gift. And to be honest, if I did, I'd probably, frankly, mess up a little bit more, right? I'd be deeper in some decisions that I shouldn't be making, that I should be delegating to my team. How do I even start to think about this idea of we need help, right? And to what depth or degree we need help, right? How do I even, I have a great team. I've got a bookkeeper that's been in my church. She's a bookkeeper in her, she does bookkeeping for lots of people, but she helps us do accounts payable, accounts receivable. But God has, I have a vision. I have a vision for a new building. I have a vision for expansion. I have a vision for higher impact ministry. And I know I need some strategy in order to get there financially. Where does that conversation start? What do I do first? I'm listening. I'm all ears. I like this conversation.
Right.
Finally, somebody's having it.
Well, I think one of the things that you may want to do is download our our ebook that says the top 10 red flags, financial red flags, but then also to have a conversation, right? To see if you're at the level of ministry to where you may need that strategic oversight.
That's great. And I think this is a good place to segue in this conversation, maybe introduce a little bit about why we even got together in this room today, which I'm super excited about. And those of you who've been following the work we've been doing at Andrus Advisory, you know that we are all about helping organizations get clear so they can grow faster. And my particular work focuses heavily on leadership and organization in church structure, ministry structure, organization structure. And what I found very, very quickly is there's about 50% of my strategy that I'm not actively engaging in, because it does start to talk like and sound like, well, how do we pay for it? And how we're going to meet that need financially. And as things start to get organized and structured, you're going to want to bring on staff, and you're going to want to increase the footprint of your facility, and you're going to want to think through strategic ministry opportunities. And all of those things, as I said at the beginning, require resources. So I'm excited to probably break the internet, sharing this for the very first time today, that Janelle has joined Andrus Advisory as our senior partner for our financial services division. And so now, not only will you get the best in the industry in church organization and structure, but we have now brought in one of the nation's premier financial minds to help you get smarter with your money so you can move even faster. Because when the money matches the mission, there's really nothing you can stop. When the money starts to match the mission and the mission is tied to the money, it's almost like the church becomes unstoppable. So Janelle, I'm glad to welcome you to the firm. This is a big, y'all should, like, if you're watching this, celebrate Janelle in the comments, by the way. But it sounds like, so here's one of the things I want you to note in this conversation. I don't want it to be missed, is you're saying you should be reaching out to us. If you feel the tension of, hey, I need some strategy around money. Like I've gotten this pretty far. My team has gotten this pretty far, but I need some outside help, which is crazy because that's what people call me for, right? I tell pastors all the time, it is not an admission of your inability. It is a signal that you're stretching your ability to say, hey, I'm not trying to be the smartest person in the room. I know there are voices in people and intellectual and training and certifications that can help us move faster. And I call this the messy middle. It is the place where you grow beyond just what you can see, and you start to look outside of your tents to see where God can stretch you. Exactly. What does that conversation sound like? So the first call we get, so I call you, I say, hey, I click the link below in this description of this email, I get on the phone. What does that first conversation sound like?
Well, for me, it's going to see how your foundations are, your financial foundations, where you are, and then from there, we'll be able to see where you actually need help, right? Because you have the foundations, we want to make sure, okay, are you clear? Do you have clarity in your numbers? And then the next thing is, do you have the capacity, right? And if there's need for increasing your capacity financially, then let's have a conversation. Let's see where we can start, if it's going to be in different realms. So if it's accounting, you know, or if it's the financial strategic oversight, which is really great. And I'm glad to be a part of this firm,
Honored.
you know,
Absolutely
because
honored.
the thing is that it's about, you know, advisory.
Yeah.
And so that is where my strong point is.
Same. I think there's a beautiful African proverb that if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I'm really happy we're doing this together. I'm excited about the transformation that your work is going to bring to thousands of churches. You know, here at the firm, you believe this deeply, even on the most local level from your day to day, that the local church really is the hope of the world. It genuinely is the hope. Although I don't say that flippantly, and I don't say that as a marketing line.
Exactly.
Our world demands the local church. They don't even know it sometimes. You know, like the culture needs the local church. It doesn't even fully understand that it needs it.
So
and
true.
I think it is incumbent upon leaders to really obsess. The Bible says he who wins souls is wise. I don't hear that as, oh, I'm like in the streets winning souls. I'm saying the structure and strategy and intellectual stamina it takes to be a soul winner requires systems. It requires organization. It requires structure. And I'm really excited to partner with you in this journey.
Same. I love
This has been a great conversation. Now, transparently, this is just one of a couple conversations. So if you've enjoyed this, if you like this conversation, we have conversations coming up where we're going to get deeper into the weeds of church finance, church strategy, strategic financial oversight, strategic financial advisory with Janelle Montgomery, our newest senior partner of our financial services division. But listen, if you're watching this and you're like, hey, yes. Okay, Sheldon, I liked your leadership stuff. Now you're helping me with the money. I want to get into this conversation. You can click the link in the description. We want to set up a consultation call where Janelle and the team will meet with you, find out all of the things they need to know, all the details. I'm not going to even hit you with that list because what y'all don't want me is, that's why I brought in Janelle, because she's going to ask you the good questions to get clear and really to paint a roadmap for the transformation around your money. Because when your money matches your mission, it gets crazy. I need to find a way to make that rhyme, but it does get crazy. So thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit comment, like. Make sure you comment. Make sure you hit like and subscribe so you can hear when we come back with the next episode. Janelle, thank you so much for joining us today. Really grateful to have you on the team.
So glad to be part of the team.